everyone, and welcome to Mom Your Own Way. I'm Lily Coco, and today I'm talking to Genesis Moreno. We're going to discuss her motherhood, her whole journey, and her whole personal story. So let's just jump right in. I do a little jig when I begin. Hi, Genesis.
Hi.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. All right. Look at this energy. Okay. That got me more hyped than the coffee.
I'm here, girl. Oh, no,
Okay.
I got juice over here.
Yeah. I have this other mug that's like really janky. It's got like a bottle opener on the bottom and like clinks when I drink it. And then this one's got a mismatching lid. So I'm on Etsy already. I'm trying to find this cute design. I'm trying to get it sent. This girl's talking to me about maybe getting it like onto the cup, but I don't have it yet. So I'm just with these weird cups right now.
I'm not going to show you, but this is a work one. So this will have the label of my job. So
okay.
I should probably get on Etsy too. And
Ooh.
get myself a nice mug.
Oh, yeah, or ask your job for a bonus for promoting them, you know? Like, you're now an influencer on a podcast, spreading the good news of your job, saying, hey, whatever the job is.
Look at this.
Yeah, exactly. Look at you influencing. Well, Genesis, so nice to meet you. We got introduced through Naomi, and I don't really know anything about you, but I'm so excited to get to know you. So tell me your story. You can start before motherhood even. Like, how'd you get here in front of my computer, I guess, huh?
Oh, before motherhood. So I will tell you, man, where to start? Actually, I was traveling. I was enjoying my life, doing the single thing, you know. And then I met, my daughter's dad, and that kind of, took a turn pretty fast to change things pretty fast. So January, he was my boyfriend. January 1st, 2nd, I got pregnant.
It was like a New Year's date?
Yes. So actually, we had been dating for 3 months previous.
Okay.
And I met him at a girlfriend's wedding. So at the wedding, he did like one of these like little numbers, like come here.
Okay.
And I was just all about it and was like,
smitten.
Okay, here I come.
You hooked this fish.
I was like, ooh, yes, call me daddy. No, it was definitely one of those, and I thought he was so hot. So there I went. Next day, was pregnant. Didn't find out till about a week later. So I knew for about a good 2 weeks before I told him. And I was really scared to tell him. I was just like, should I tell him? Am I going to keep it? Is it even worth saying to him? So eventually I built up, the nerve to go and tell him. And he was okay with it. He was just like, let's do it, sure. But at this time, so we're only officially dating for a day. A week later, I'm telling him that I'm pregnant. Then he moves in within 2 months. Now we're living together, trying to get to know each other, live together, deal with the pregnancy. My hormones were raging.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just a crazy pregnant woman.
Wait,
sure.
Tell me about your hormones. Tell me about your pregnancy.
So my pregnancy, my pregnancy was hard. I was tired all the time. I mean, I had no energy to do anything, although everybody said I was glowing. And I actually did feel like I was glowing, but just the energy level was just not there.
Drained out of you. One of the most annoying things I found was everyone's like, enjoy your sleep now. Enjoy your sleep now. I'm like, I'm tired of hearing that. But then now I do get it and I miss it and I get it. And I'm sorry to everybody. But it's just annoying to hear. It's like, enjoy your sleep now. I'm like, I'm just tired already. I don't know.
I remember thinking when people would tell me that, it's just probably you didn't know how to manage, your child. In my head, that's what process. You don't know how to manage your child. I'm going to be just fine. And then she came. And she.
How was your birth?
I was in labor 20 hours.
Okay.
I actually, I wasn't dilating. So I was at 3 centimeters for a good portion of those 20 hours. Then they gave me Pitocin. So here's the thing with my birth. My doctor who delivered my daughter, my daughter's name's Rowan.
Cute name.
Thank you. He also delivered my sisters.
Oh, okay.
So he's been like a family doctor,
Mm.
but he was retiring. So he was going to be done. And, you know, that day was the last day he was going to be on the calendar to be at the hospital. So I wanted to make sure that I got in with him. So I told him, you got to do what you got to do to make sure this baby comes out tonight with you, because you're retiring. So I won't get this opportunity anymore. And this is kind of something that's gone on with my family.
Yeah, I'm picturing like a sitcom scene where he like grabs the baby, delivers, and then like spins on a chair, and then somebody hands him a bottle, and he like opens it up, and like the celebration begins, and then the nurses jump into like a musical party, and then you and the baby just like know the routine too, and you guys are like retirement. Okay,
not tired at all. We're just So he said, okay, I'll do what I can. So the nurse on his instructions obviously just put the Pitocin, gave me Pitocin, and I don't know that. So I heard they're supposed to give it in small doses. Mm-hmm. I don't think I received the Pitocin that way, because within like 5-10 minutes, like I was in some pain. So I was going. So you know how you can see the monitors on there? Yeah. So mine was hitting like 100 every other minute, and I was only dilated 3 centimeters. Mm-hmm. So I told the nurse about it 2-3 hours into it, like, there's just no way. I'm not going to make it out of this. It hurts so bad. Yeah. Like I was the exorcist. I was holding on to both sides of the thing, and I'm just like screaming for dear life. And I kept telling everybody who would talk, like, shut the fuck up. Like, it was like literally like an exorcist moment for me. It was so bad. So, so I told the nurse, you know, I need the epidural. I want the epidural. Yeah. So here comes the doctor finally, after I don't know how long, to give me the epidural. Mm-hmm. And the contractions are hitting me every other minute, so I can't sit still. Yeah. So he literally tells me, if you do not sit still, you're not going to get this epidural.
Oh, because they can't miss it.
Yeah, they can't miss it. Like, you have to be absolutely still. And I just was like, it was just hurting me so bad. So I don't know what came over me. I guess it was the thought that I was going to continue being in pain if I just didn't just suck it up. But it's so funny the way the brain works, because it just like turned off. I didn't even feel it anymore because I wanted that epidural so bad. Yeah. And the nurse even made a comment, and she said, wait, is she even still getting a contraction? And the other nurse that was there was like, yeah, she's still getting them. Wow. So
you just kind of froze in peace.
I was just like, there's just no way you're going to leave here without giving me this epidural, because I can't take much more of this.
The pain, I went through the similar thing where they encouraged me to take Pitocin, and then my pain was so unbearable. Like, I was shaking. I was like, I don't know, cut this baby out of me. I don't know how anyone does it. And so we did the epidural. And then through my podcast, I had actually recently learned that what makes it so intolerable is the Pitocin. So they call it a cascade of intervention. And so they start with the one thing of the Pitocin to make your contraction faster, but that spikes up your pain level. And so then you do the epidural, and then the other thing, like, and so it helps you in the end, because then like you do speed up the process, and then you do get rid of the pain, so you can have this like more relaxing birth instead of crying out. And like, yes. I didn't want to remember it being so painful, so I was like, oh my gosh, somebody stabbed me with that epidural, like wherever you need to.
Wherever it needs to go.
Yeah, like somebody just get it going. But those are some things that I didn't know, that, because I kept asking my like natural moms, I'm like, how did you live through that pain? And the pains are actually different if you don't give the Pitocin. Yes. And your body reacts to it differently. So I don't know what that does for anybody, but I was just blown away learning that.
I have heard that too. I have heard that getting the Pitocin definitely heightens that the pain. It's
insane.
It's insane. No, it's really insane. And I will say, I've had my gallbladder removed, and I've had gallstones, and so when I had those, everybody said that pain's very similar to birth. It's so if you've done that, then you definitely will be okay with this. And it was nowhere near like it just the pain with the Pitocin was so bad. So that being said, if I get pregnant again ever, I don't know if I'll go that route. I just feel like for the amount of pain that I went through, I might as well just experience a natural birth.
Well, the more moms I talk to, it seems like the natural birth is a lot more fluid, because instead of being constricted to the bed and then getting the medication right away that increases your pain, you're more fluid, and you're moving, and your things are kind of moving around. This one girl who does a natural birth boot camp talked about how if you're ring is stuck on your finger, you know, when you pull it, it doesn't come off and it hurts.
Yeah.
So you have to wiggle the finger, the ring at the same time. So that's the natural birth, is when you're moving and the baby's moving and everything is actually like easy, instead of when it's an abrupt, forced thing.
And you know what? That makes so much sense, because I always said to myself, I see some of these births where like women are sitting on the like the big yoga ball. And I'm like, there's no way in hell I would have been sitting on a yoga ball moving. I was like literally tied down to that bed.
Yeah.
I could not move even if I wanted to. So even when they lifted me up to put the epidural on my back, that was a mission.
Yeah.
So I always thought, how do these moms sit there like all cute on the balls? Like, just.
That's what I was wondering. Like, how do they do it? And then there's a whole thing about the position, apparently. So like, the reason you lay on your back is so the doctor can get in there, so it's convenient for the doctor. But apparently, if you're like in the squat or like the cow position, it's easier for the baby to come out. Because, yeah, kind of. Okay, have you heard of like the squatty potty? It's like a position where you put your feet, so like pooping's easier.
Actually, let me tell you about that. I have my own squatty potty.
Okay.
I use. So TMI for everybody out there, but yes, and actually my family would make fun of me because I used to live with my sisters and they would always just walk into the restroom. So I had my squatty potty, so they would look at me, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "It's a thing. Like, it's a thing. It's supposed to make it easier to go to the restroom."
See, isn't that wild? So like having you in that position, just pooping already makes it easier. So then similarly to birth, instead of like, it would be harder for you to poop on your back versus in this position. So similarly, if you were to give birth in like, and I'm not speaking from an experience, just from what I heard, but like if you do it in the squat position, kind of similar to that. That's why like the ball apparently works so well, because you're moving with the baby and you're kind of squatting and opening. And so apparently it's supposed to be easier. And
that makes sense.
I'm glad that I went through the experience, but I feel like because I said yes to the Pitocin and then the epidural, it increased the pain and then decreased it. Like they were responsible for my pain, but then they said they would make it go away. And so I was right there with you. I was like, I am shaking. I can't believe how anyone does it naturally.
Yes.
I feel like I'm going to die. What is going on? And
yes, like my face was going pale. I just remember like it was a pain on my back that was just like, I felt like my back was just like ripping apart.
Yeah. Like an alien was going to climb out.
Reminded me of Braveheart, you know, when they're just like, and he's like, you know, like that was totally me.
You should have painted your face the half like, blue. Yeah, at the hospital. Just make a thing.
What does he say at the end? I'm like, freedom!
Freedom! And then the baby comes. That's what the baby says, climbing out. Freedom!
Like, shoots out with like blood. Oh no, that'd be a crazy scene, dude. Can you imagine? The doctor'd be like, I stayed on the clock for this.
Yeah, but what if you do it that way and like record your birth so your baby's like full on Braveheart and you just like commit to it? Like that would be
that would be awesome. I'm sure
have the nurses like with the flags.
Love that, right?
Oh my god, that's such a good idea for dads. They should totally do it.
Well, at least right next to you, right? Like,
like half face waving that flag, just going for it. Man.
I'd probably be like, I can't focus. Get out.
Yeah. But then maybe it would make like the pain go away because you'd just be so stuck in this laughter.
I mean, yeah, actually. I'll be like, stop, you know I can't.
Yeah, and the baby just pops out. You're like, it already happened? I missed it.
Yeah, okay, but with that laughter, I might just even poop on myself because you know that happens too. It didn't happen to me, thankfully, but I don't know if it happened to you.
I don't know. I think they were cleaning up. I think they were very, I had my husband in the room, so I was like, how does it, you know, they were saying like the baby hairs are appearing, and I was like, oh, can you see, like, is it cute? And he's like, there's a lot going on. And so by that I was like, oh.
Well, let me tell you, when she finally came out and I looked at her, so I had my mom and her dad in there with me, and then I looked at her and her head looked like a cone head. So
did they use the thing?
I don't even know if they use. Honestly, I don't even know. But I looked at my kid and I said, "She's like, her head's deformed. Like, what's going on here? You know?"
Yeah.
And my mom, I guess, saw it in my face, so she literally was like, "No, sweetheart, that's normal. You know, it'll change." And I'm like, "Okay, because she just went the hell."
That's really funny.
But then then I guess now it's a normal head. But before it was like, oh no, what happened?
It's weird to consider now if you have to go through a really tiny tunnel and be like, I don't know, that you can like shape shift, kind of like cats can just like go under a door and you're like, you shouldn't fit through that. It's weird that they like, you know, now your baby's bigger, so you're like, how did you ever fit inside me? Like, oh, I don't think that works. It's weird.
You're like, this isn't cool. And actually, talking about, because you were saying recording videos, I recorded her birth. Yay. I have yet to watch it.
You should.
I have never watched it.
What are you doing tonight? Make some popcorn.
I'm scared to watch it. It's gonna sound retarded, but I'm so scared to watch it.
I think it's gonna just give you oxytocin and like remind you of how powerful you are and how powerful your body is and her birth and her welcoming into the world. But also might be scary.
I don't like the sight of blood. And just the thought of seeing my vagina like that, it's just like, oh, that's a lot.
What's the angle of this video? Are they like
it's on
in
the
there
side
where the
of my
doctor
vag,
was?
like, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's like it's gonna catch all of that, and I'm just like, man, I could see it if it was from like an angle where I didn't have to see all that. That's
should be
a
from
lot.
The side. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have the stomach for that. So
yeah.
I have yet to watch it, and she's about 2.5. So at some point, I do have to sit down and watch that video.
If you have a really close friend, like a really close friend, you can ask them to put one of those like blockers, stickers over it, so then you don't see it. I have
really close friends, but they'd probably, because we're so close, they'd probably be laughing at me for different stuff, like, oh my god, look at this, you know. So it's just like, I don't know if I want to show you guys that. That's too much ammo, giving you guys too much to work with there.
It is really a lot. I mean, you're really opening yourself up. As your legs open, you're just like, hello. Here I am. Take me to dinner first. Yeah. Freedom. The baby comes out.
Yeah, no, for sure. I don't know if I want to give them that yet. I'd have to watch that one by myself at some point when she's sleeping, and maybe I got a drink or two in me.
There you go. Make it a night. I wouldn't say go with like white wine instead of red wine, because you don't want anything red around you when you're watching red.
You're right. I didn't think about that. I thought maybe because it'd make me sleepy and not want to watch the video.
No, you're just gonna be like, this looks too similar.
No, this isn't good. Yeah, no, that's no, at some point, but probably not anytime soon. I'll give it another year, maybe.
It's good to still have it. So how was the rest? So she came, she's healthy, she had a cone head, but now she's good. So how was your first?
You went on a podcast and told people I had a cone head? Sure did, honey. But you're beautiful.
Did. Yeah, it's all right. Madonna had cone boobs, so it's fine. It's
hip. Did, actually, yeah. You know what? She's really, really good. She's a bright little girl. I've been told a lot that she's advanced. I mean, I don't know how advanced they're talking about, but I have been told she is, and she's just on it. But I will say she's quite bossy. My kid is quite the bossy one. And I think she takes after me. I kind of like
it. Yeah, I kind of like it. Our kid's starting to get bossy. She's telling us when to go to bed. She's like, bye-bye to the TV, bye-bye to the light. Sometimes my husband will bring the laptop to bed, so now she goes, all done, and closes it, and she says, you're done. We're just all going to bed now. Yeah. I kind of like it. I'm like, hey, I wish I had that self-assurance, that confidence to just be like, I will come in and I will boss everyone with 2 words. 2 words.
2 words. Yes. And you know what? My mom does, my little girl does that to me too. So she'll be like, Mom, let's go. Let's get out of here. So I was just like, okay, let's go. And we go get in the car, and she's just like, okay, you drive now. Okay. I'm sorry. Let me just get in the car.
I was actually going to take a nap, but now that you say that, I will drive.
And you drive now. Same thing when she wants people. She's very good with boundaries. So when she wants people out of her house, because she wants to go to sleep, or she wants me and her time, she'll look at them, grab their purse for them. Okay. Wow. Bye.
I packed you up. Like you're good. Did you wear your shoes?
I was feeling like that too, and I didn't know how to tell her to go, but you just did it for me. Thank you.
See, and I love that. I wish we kind of had that, like, more of that confidence. When I was talking to Naomi, something we mentioned about, like, starting to introduce saying no thank you when people tell you stuff or whatever. And it's like, that's what kids are able to do, is just to say, like, no, I don't want to do that. And we're just so shaped by society and culture now to be like, oh, yeah, that's so nice. Let's keep talking for another 3 hours.
Yeah.
I'd love to do this. I'd love to catch up again. Oh, na, 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 and all of this. And then you're like, I don't even want to do that. I'm just saying that because I'm trying to be nice. But
So
like,
let me tell you, I actually, I've gone to therapy for many years in my life. And my therapist one time, I told her, I said, I really struggle with people giving me unsolicited opinions, like
yeah,
I hate it. Like
yeah,
I'm nice enough and I take it in like, but in my
mm-hmm,
head, I'm just like,
yeah,
I don't care,
I'm with you.
but I
Mm-hmm.
don't say anything. So she said, well, how do these conversations go? And I said, well, usually I'm just like, hi, how are you? And she's like, well, there's your mistake right there. And she goes,
Mm,
the moment that you say, hi, how are you? You've kind of opened up the doors you're inviting people to tell you how
yeah,
they are, what they're trying to say or whatever's on their mind that day to come out. She's like, how about a simple hi? I said, that's weird. It's weird, right? Like, it's just weird to be
yeah,
like, hi, and then just walk away. So
yeah,
then she goes, no, it's definitely something that society needs to learn to do more. Just a simple hi. And when you're
yeah,
maybe in the ready to go into deeper conversation, you say, hi, how are you? Then you can
yeah,
open it up for that person to say it. I never thought about that. I'm like,
yeah,
maybe sometimes we use too many words. Because I tell
yeah,
my daughter the same thing. You don't want something? How do we say, politely? No, thank you. So
mm-hmm.
she's big on like, no, thank you, no, thank you.
I
But
love
I don't even
that.
do no, thank you.
Yeah, I
Maybe
want
I
to
need to be
really,
more like, no, thank you.
yeah, I want to do that so bad. So we moved from Russia when I was 12, and within
Okay.
Russian culture, um, I mean, my mom struggled with this. So when we came here, everybody at like the grocery store or whatever, everyone's like, "Hi, how are you?" And for my mom was like, "Why is everyone asking me my personal life?" Because like in Russia, you don't do that. Like you stick to your family unit, but strangers are strangers. You
Yes.
you you deal with things like publicly and politely, but you're not friends. You're not trying
Right.
to make friends. And it's this whole like within American culture where everyone's really overly friendly almost.
Yes.
And I struggled also like overcoming that. And because I was like, why are people asking you how are you when you don't know them? And then I always thought it
Yes.
was weird if like drive through they're like, hi, how are you? I'm like, why are you asking? I only have 30
Yes.
seconds. Do you really want me to tell you how I am? Because like we'll be here for a
Forever.
while. Yeah, and so it was
And
this
then you open it
weird
up and
thing.
sometimes you don't really want to know what that person's doing. Like
Yeah,
you're
you
kind of
just kind of
saying
said
it to
it.
be, I don't know if it's polite or because that's what socially what you
Courteous.
say. I mean,
Yeah.
but yeah, actually, so that was an eye opener for me. It's like you're absolutely right. I've
I
literally
love
opened it
that.
up to question like, how are you?
You're
I
asking
mean,
them.
I'm asking. At this point, it's just
Yeah.
like, tell me your business. I'm here to listen. I might as well just say
Mm-hmm.
that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that it's been a struggle
Why did
for
you go to
sure.
therapy and just in general? Or I'm just really
Um,
interested. I love this
yeah,
stuff.
yeah, no, 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 no. So actually, so when I was I think I was about 24, I had this boyfriend, and I was really into him. First guy. So let me back up first, because to give you a little bit of context. So I didn't like him at the beginning. I thought he was ugly. I just was not into him. I just, but I liked his personality. I liked him enough where I wanted to, hang out with him and get to know him. So one day he gave me an ultimatum because, we would go out, we'd party, and I'd always end up with a different guy and leave him there, but he would be my driver. So he gave me an
Wow.
ultimatum one day and was like,
Talk about a doormat.
yeah, yes. You live and you learn. So then he told me one day, Genesis, I can't do this anymore. So you're either going to be with me or you're not.
Yeah.
So even though I knew that I wasn't physically attracted to him, I also knew that I didn't want to lose him.
Mm.
So I stayed. But being young and dumb and knowing I wasn't ready for what he wanted out of me, I cheated on him a lot. A
Yeah.
lot. So when that happened, he found out, of course, that I did this, and then I lost him, and that relationship kind of spiraled out of control. It became very
Mm.
toxic. But losing him, because he was the first person I lived with, and shared a lot of really deep personal stuff.
Mm.
When I finally lost that, I lost my person, and I'll tell you that one of my girlfriends, she told me, he's different. you need to stop. He's not like every other guy, because this one's really going to hurt you. You're going to feel this later. And I didn't listen to that. I thought, I was young and I felt hot, and I thought I knew it all,
Yeah.
And yeah, sure enough, when I lost him, I lost my sense of self. I didn't know, at that point, I didn't know what made me happy. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I didn't even know how to live without him. I was so used to having him there and his family, because I became very close to his family. So I kind of got into a really deep depression. So there was days where I would have like my period and I wouldn't go take a shower. I just laid in bed and I would cry and cry and cry. And also, because our relationship became so toxic, so there was this, so one time him and I had gone to Vegas and we had gotten into this huge fight, and I ended up leaving the room because we were arguing so much. And so when I left the room running, I was so drunk. So when I'm out there, a guy had approached me and he's like, hey, how are you? Are you okay? And, here I am drunk and not really in my, senses. I'm just giving him information. So then he assaults me. He sexually assaults me. I end up in Vegas for 3 days, uncommunicated. Nobody can reach me, because when you're in Vegas, you can't call out from their hospitals because they're long distance. Man. And they don't give, information on rape victims. So I was just kind of out there. And then the police was looking for him because the people that were on each side of where we were staying, the I guess roommates, whatever, on the opposite side,
like neighbors,
the neighbors, so they told him that we had argued. So when they finally got to the hospital, they were thinking he did it to me. So he was scared, so he just drove back to California. So from Nevada to all the way back to California. So finally I get a hold of him because one of the nurses lends me his cell phone so I can call out. And he's like, oh, I already left, and I'm scared to go back, and what if I go to jail? And I said, no, like, they know it's not you. Anyway, all of that to tell you that just kind of put more strain on our relationship, because as it is, we went to try and fix it. It was already on the rocks. So with all of that, and then losing, the only support I felt I had in that time of my life, I couldn't function. I was a non-functional human being. I just wanted to lay there all day. And my mom would get really frustrated with me, she didn't know what else to do. She kind of hit that point where she was telling me, get up, get dressed, take a shower. And I was just like, leave me alone. I don't want to. So one day I sat there, and I guess I had just cried as much as I could cry. We were done. I was kind of left with like this empty feeling because of what happened to me. Like I had no control. And I said, I'm not going to do this. This is not me. This has never been me. I need to do something about it. So I asked my mom if I could borrow her car. I took off and I started driving. I didn't know where I was going. I had no idea what I was going to do. My plan initially actually was to go look for him. And then I stopped myself from doing that because I just figured it was going to essentially be more drama.
Yeah.
So, I finally sat down, I called my insurance, and I said, I need to know nearest therapists near this address. And they gave me a few. They're like, you need to look at our website. This is what you do. So I went to go look. I literally showed up at a therapist's door knocking. She had a patient in there. And I'm like, I need to talk to somebody. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to be happy. And I was like distraught. And she's like, okay, sweetie, sit down. I'm with somebody. I'll be with you right now. So she finished that consultation, and then she helped me out. She didn't take my insurance information. None of that. She just got to what's wrong, like what's going on.
Yeah.
And I just started pouring it out, like, I love him. And so then she asked me the make or break question. Do you still want to be with him? And I said, I sat there and I'm crying over him, right? Because my head, right? Like, I love him. But when she asked me that question, I couldn't say, yes, I still want to be with him. Because the relationship was so toxic and there was so much there. I wasn't sure I wanted to go back to that. But I also knew that I felt like I had lost something.
And I didn't yourself.
Know. Yes. Like I didn't know like how to come back from where I was, So then she asked me, she was just like, is that something that you want? And I said, no, I don't think it's what I want. And then she's like, well, what do you want? And I told her, I want to know what I like. Like, I want to
Mm.
know what makes me happy. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
that. I can seriously sit here and look at you and tell you I have no idea
What a
how
big
to make
question.
myself smile again.
Wow.
And so she's like, what are you passionate about? And that to this day, Lily, I think about it. What am I passionate about? Do you
Mm.
know how hard it is to like know what you're passionate about? Very few people actually know what they're
Yeah.
passionate about. And so I sat on that, like, what am I passionate about? And I couldn't come up with anything. I was not passionate about anything. I
Mm.
didn't have like, I liked things. I
Sure.
enjoyed to do certain things, but I wouldn't call any of it a passion.
More like hobbies, projects, things that were going on, just activities you enjoyed. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, yeah. So I started asking people, you know what your passion is? You know what your passion
Mm.
is? Like friends, just in conversation randomly, actually. I just throw it out there. Hey, do you know
Yeah.
what your passion is? I'd be surprised how many people said, no, I don't know
Mm.
what my passion is. So I started to think like, I'm seriously lacking something here. Like there's something missing. I don't know what I'm passionate about. I don't know what makes me happy. Like how am I gonna get you know, um uncover these things that are missing in my life?
Yeah.
So yeah, I got, well, first of all, I needed a job. I didn't have a job. I didn't have a car. Like I was a completely lost individual. So I started there, the basics, job, car,
Yeah.
income. So once I overcame that, I still was searching for my passion. Like I said, to this day, I still search for my passion. But I will say this: once I had my daughter, she became my passion. I'm
Mm.
very passionate about doing things for her.
Mm.
Um, like seeing her smile, planning like activities for her.
Yeah.
But I know that at some point, she's gonna grow up. She's
Mm. Yeah.
gonna, do her own thing, find her own passions, and hopefully, I've created that foundation for her.
Mm.
And that'll be a victory for me if she can sit there and tell me, "Hey, mom, I'm passionate about like this." I'd be like, "Hell yeah, I fucking did it." You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
she has a fucking passion. She knows what she wants in life. Like I did it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I struggle to this day, with my own passion. I mean, I'm passionate about her and I love her, but when she grows up and she leaves the nest, what am I going to have for me?
Yeah.
So I think about that a lot. Like, so I still try to find it. So I take up like little things like I do art sometimes and I try to find the passion in that, or like I've worked out and been like super fit. And that was all great, but I can't tell you that I was passionate about any of it.
Mm.
So I'm still there. I'm still in my search for passion to see what it is that I'm truthfully passionate about, something that drives me. Have yet to find it, so I won't say that I have, but hopefully soon. Hopefully I'll.
What if your passion is to help others find passion?
Actually, I never thought about that.
Because
That's a
now
good
you've
way.
gone through this beautiful journey. I mean, like things have been handed to you and you carried them. You put your backpack on and you said, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going. Like anyone who's listening to this who has faced any sorts of depression or postpartum through motherhood or through this conversation are now asking themselves, well, what is my passion? Like you could be enlightening so many little candles right now.
Yeah.
And what if you, through your own experience, can help others by asking the question, what is your passion? And you could even create your own, let's call it a course, but like, how did you go about finding it or answering that question? And
Yeah.
what are some things you could try? What are some questions you should talk to? What if it's a journal? What if the journal saying, okay, you start with 10, then you go down to 5, then it's 1, or write a paragraph of things that you like, then get it down to one sentence, then get it down to one word. That's your
Yeah.
passion. Or, what, because you're talking about all these things that you're already doing, and I think taking your journey and what you've gone through, because you want this for your daughter, you want your daughter to have this passion, so you're already kind of doing this, you're helping your daughter, but I think you could be helping others.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, that makes a lot of sense. That's actually a good like light bulb flickering, because I never thought of a passion being passionate about helping other people.
Yeah,
Sometimes when you think about like having a passion, you think about like, oh, I got to be really good at
it's
like,
got to be definitive, it's got to be like
yes,
a thing, you got to
yes,
be able to handle it, you got to be like, oh, macrame, I will now be passionate about macrame. Yeah, or like, oh, you're scrapbooking? Let me also now do scrapbooking.
Yes.
I totally get that.
Thing. But also, too, I don't have very many hobbies. You know, like you talk to people and you're like, oh, yeah, today I went cycling and, you know, oh, today now I'm going snowboarding. And I've never been a person to take on lots of hobbies.
Yeah.
So that's another thing that, and all of this to say to you, that I think up until I had my daughter, so all my previous years before, I focused a lot on not on myself. I focused on just going through through the day-to-day motions of whatever was going on that day, but I never actually put focus on myself as a person. And now that I have my daughter, I see all these things, right? Because I want them for her. So like I want her to have all these things that, and not just like material things or, you know, but like deep-rooted things, like things that you like for yourself. Like, what are you passionate about, for example, or like what hobbies do you like to do? Like, you know, they say a lot of people who have like hobbies and stuff, and who are passionate about stuff are less likely to sit there and talk about others, you know, because they're talking about ideas versus people.
Yeah. Well, because you're so busy with your own passion, you don't have time for the rumors and the gossip and the thing or talk bad. It's like you just don't have that mental space. But something I was going to ask you is that I think it's all right not to have a physical activity passion. And from the sounds of it, I mean, I'm sure you want to be like an example for your daughter so she can see that you are passionate about stuff. But if you were, and I don't know this, so this is going to be kind of more of a question, but let's say if we stay on the topic of you helping others to find passion, if something you like to do is talking to people, I know it sounds weird. It's like, oh, just talking to people is my passion.
Actually,
but like,
Naomi said that to me, actually. She's the first person to ever say it to me, because I always run these ideas by her. Actually, I had run an idea by her telling her that I wanted to do a memoir on just, you know, my life. Because there's been a lot of things that have happened in my life that are still happening, that haven't come to like an end, that probably a lot of people could relate to.
Yeah.
And she's just like, Genesis, she's like, you know what I've learned about you? You like teaching others. Because every time her and I talk, she's like, you're always teaching us about something new for Sebastian, or something new to help with like making things easy. She's like, you're always wanting to like contribute in that way. She's just like, maybe that's your passion. Maybe that's something you're passionate about, you know? So she was the first person to actually bring it up, and I never quite actually thought about it until now, like that I'm piecing together what you're saying and what she said. But yeah, that's an interesting thought. I might just very well be very passionate about
it. Could be something. Yeah. And you could be going, you know, you could still be staying home like with your daughter and hanging out, and you guys could be traveling, and you could be doing online courses or appearances or go to schools and talk about overcoming depression, overcoming sexual assault, how to deal with toxic relationships. I mean, these are things that people are dealing every single day, and those who have gone through it or those who haven't. And if they can hear you speaking and then seeing how you have overcome those things, seeing how happy you are now with your daughter, now you're a mom, I mean, you could be saving lives. You could be helping people find their passion, because as you've been depressed yourself, those who get depressed, you almost want to give up on yourself. You don't want to pursue anything. You don't feel alive. You feel like a wet towel that's hopefully will disintegrate and nobody will care about.
Difficult to get out of depression.
But you did it. I mean, this is something you could be teaching people, and that could be your passion is teaching, saving people, doing your own course of your own story. It doesn't have to be anything crazy or dramatic. It's just you sharing your heart, you sharing your story and saying, this is how I did it. And if it benefits you, great. If it doesn't, also cool. But this is my life, and this is me putting my heart on the sleeve. Yeah, I think that would be just so beautiful. Because, I mean, your story, you going to Vegas and then getting in the fight with that guy, but actually getting sexually assaulted by someone else, but them thinking that it could be that guy. I mean, that's a premise for like a Law and Order SVU episode where it's like they set you up for this one thing, and you're like, well, of course it was the boyfriend, whoever.
The boyfriend,
and and then it's someone else because they didn't, that story didn't get shown, and like, so there's these snippets already of your life that could inspire, let's say, films or shows or books or ideas, or I mean, there's different branches that could grow that I think are absolutely beautiful. And you have such a good upbeat attitude about how you're presenting, because now you're on the other side of it. I'm sure things are still going to happen, but people
Yes.
would love to follow along your journey and hear how are you handling things today and what's going to happen in the store if somebody approaches you now with this other thing, and how are you, like
Yes. And actually, when you say that to me, so right before I got on the podcast to talk to you, I was talking to one of my girlfriends and I was telling her, I don't really like to talk about myself. So this, even being on here today with you, is out of my comfort zone 100%. I'm definitely not that person that is on Instagram live, like talking. I'm
yeah,
very
that's hard.
shy. And then I also feel like a lot of people don't really care for what I have to say. It's just a
Yeah,
thought process. I'm sure it's not necessarily true, but that's my own thought process.
it's due to trauma. I go through the same thing. I do this podcast, but every single time I'm like, why am I doing this? What am I doing?
Yes.
So
So that's exactly what I talked to her right before. I
yeah,
told her, I said, you know, um, this is kind of my avenue just to like speak
yeah,
about, how I'm feeling. But realistically, in my head, I didn't even want to tell anybody I was going to be on a podcast because I personally thought no one cares.
yeah.
like they
It's
like you want them to
it's
care, but like nobody cares. So
yeah.
in that, I think that's how I shut myself down. And
It's
it
a
is a
defense
lot of it is due
mechanism.
to the
Yeah.
trauma.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
due to trauma. And I mean, the only way I'm speaking out is because I literally go through the same thing where I'm like, no one's even going to care. Why would I post a picture of myself with this, saying how my day went, or
Yes.
the vlogging or the video? I really struggle with it. I kind of carry myself as this like other thing, but I really struggle with it because I think no one's going to care. And
Yes.
people
Yes.
have shown me otherwise, but I can't accept it. And I think it's easier for me to say, oh, no one's going to care. And so when I don't see results or I don't believe in it myself, it's easier for me to accept it.
Yes.
And it's almost like I'd rather set the expectations really low so I'm not disappointed.
So you're not disappointed. That's exactly what it is. And then also
Yeah.
too, sometimes when you piece together already feeling like people don't care, and then you
Yeah.
get the judgment, you're just
Yeah.
kind of like, you see, this kind of solidifies for me why I don't
Yeah.
do it to begin with. And then it's easy just to, I guess,
Yeah.
cowered away from it because you don't
Yeah.
want to feel how you felt in that moment. So that is what's stopping me. I mean, do I
Totally.
feel like it's something I do like? Actually, I really do. So every time I talk to so one of my girlfriends, she's like a therapist, and every time we talk, and she's just like, it seems like you like to talk about like psychology and like therapy. Have you thought about going to school for it? I'm just like, yeah, no, never crossed my mind. But I do actually. I love reading the self-help books and
Yeah.
even like the children books on. I actually have like, I'm looking at like 3 or 4 about, how to talk to your toddler, how to deal with tantrums.
Yeah.
That's my thing. I definitely do love that kind of stuff. All my books are self-help books. I don't think I own one that is like a fictional, like
Yeah.
romance love story.
So you love
'Cause
to
that doesn't
learn and you like to
entertain me.
share it with others. Yeah.
Yes. So I definitely.
Maybe you could set it up in a way where it's almost like you're answering questions. So if a question was proposed to you, like how did you deal with the trauma? Or how did you overcome your depression? What was the if you are set up for these kinds of
Yes.
to tell your story, and so you could do it that way. And if you want to talk about it further, we can because I'd love to help you because I think you could do really
thank
well
you.
in inspiring others. I think just hearing your story already, I'm like, wow, this could really resonate with a lot of people. It could really help a lot of people. Just hearing some of the things, I'm like, oh, I can recognize a little bit of myself in that.
Yeah. It's funny that you say that. That one Netflix movie that came out recently. What was it called? The one where the girl, oh man, she was I guess she had a baby and she's like doing everything by herself, but she's going through like all these struggles. It just recently came out. It was like really big. Anyway,
I've been off Netflix, but
okay, so it's really big and a lot of people watched it. Oh, it's called
Yeah.
Made.
Okay.
That's what
Okay.
it's called. So if you haven't watched it, watch it. It's actually really good. But I had a lot. I did just shock the crap out of me. How many people reached out to me to tell me that story reminds me of yours? It's pretty parallel, or it's in line to like what you've gone through. And that said to me like, oh crap, man. I mean, maybe I have gone through some real crap in this, like, in my lifetime, for people to actually reach out to me and say, hey, watch this movie because you're
Yeah.
possibly going to relate to it very closely.
Yeah.
And yeah, I did. I watched it. It was really hard for me to watch because I did relate to a lot of it. But yeah, so I definitely, I feel like this that's being said to me has been said to me before by Naomi, and
Yeah.
it's been a thought in the back of my mind always. But yeah, a lot of it is fear. A lot of it
Yeah.
is fear what stops me.
I'm with you. You know what I personally am trying to work really hard on is listening. This kind of goes back and forth. Sometimes when it's unsolicited advice and it doesn't go along with my story, I will say no. But sometimes there are certain things that come up in my life where I keep hearing things over and over again, where I'm like, somebody said, oh, you should do this, you should do this, and I'll brush it off constantly. And I'm trying to focus on like, man, I've heard that before, and maybe I should listen, and maybe I should try it. And it's so hard because I'm like, again, that fear, that self-talk comes in your head and you discourage yourself. But something that's helped me to get this off the ground is really considering my daughter and what example do I want to set for her. And one of those is being brave and just going for it and showing her that, yes, I should do certain things. Yes, I can do them. Yes, if it's cringy and it's weird and it's awkward and it's whatever, I will follow through and I'm going to try it and I'm going to give it my best. And so I can set that example for her. And that's really helped me. And something that I heard, I think Naomi just used it as a sound too, but there's like this like tale where it's if a mother's firstborn is a daughter, she's meant to learn something about herself.
Okay.
And if it's a son, she's meant to find the love she's never had before, to experience a love she's never had before. And so that's something that I think about, and something my daughter's helped me through is because I'm trying to teach her certain things and trying to show her different things, I'm learning a lot about myself. Yeah. And I see a little bit of that in you because I know I can see how much you love your daughter and the things that you've gone through. And so now shaping your reality of where do you want to be and what example do you want to show her and what is she teaching you about yourself. Like while you're teaching her all these things that you're learning about yourself are so important.
Honestly, what a little human being can teach you about yourself, it's mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing.
Isn't that wild?
It's so wild because I've learned a lot that I really struggle setting boundaries with people. A lot. And I've seen it in cases with my daughter where I do struggle setting those boundaries. And, you know, I want her, and I just said she's really good at setting boundaries, right? So like I bring it up because I'm very proud because I struggle with it. It's taught me like that part of me. And I'm always constantly telling myself, these are things I want to improve. So boundary setting is one. I really want to improve my boundary setting. Also really want to improve, you know, my relationships with like my family members and learning to communicate, because it's not so much that I have a bad relationship with them. I don't. But learning to communicate without having to have an argument with them. Because I'm the person that I hold in my emotions. So by the time I say something, I've already held in like 5 or 10 things that have pissed me off that you've said. And now at this point, I'm just blowing up. So I definitely want to work on that, you know, communicating that way she can see what effective communicating looks like, you know, because if not, I don't want her to have blowouts all the time. You know, I want her to learn to communicate effectively so that she can actually get somewhere. So, and actually it's really interesting because that's exactly what I'm working on with her right now. So I'm teaching her something that I can't effectively do myself. So right now she's 2. So she's learning about, you know, boundaries and being independent. And, you know, when she wants something, it's like mine. So like I'm teaching her to like communicate instead of yelling at the kid, like, no, this is mine, you know, like, like I'm playing with this right now, but I can share this with you, you know. So I'm teaching her, you know, how to communicate that stuff. But it's just really interesting because if I think about myself, I'm not quite where I'm asking my daughter to be either. So
isn't that interesting?
It's really interesting. And I've actually even considered, I haven't gone to therapy for a while after all that trauma, but I am and have been thinking about going back to therapy so I can work on myself on those aspects. That way I'm not focusing on these large traumas, but I'm working on small issues like
those make such a difference.
So that way I can not just teach her and say, hey, this is how you should do it, but look, mommy knows how to do it too.
Lead by example.
But it's very hard when you go years doing things a certain way and now you want to do things differently for the greater good of your kids. But you don't know how. It's just, And even when you do know how, because you read all the books, right? So like I told you, I have like a bunch of self-help books. You read the books, you see what it looks like. Come the moment, it comes out differently because you react off of how you know, what you know.
It's hard to change from reacting to responding, to take the time and think, okay, this is what I should do, because it's a habit. It's what you're used to doing. It's what you're just used to doing it.
It's learned behavior. So you learn it, you do it, and it's hard to undo. It's really hard to undo.
Yeah.
So I'm super struggling with that right now. But definitely taking the necessary steps, because I want to lead by example. I definitely don't want to be that parent that's like, you got to do this because I tell you. Because it doesn't make sense to anybody. It doesn't make sense to me when my parents told me, you don't do it. Why do I got to do it?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's what my daughter's going to look at me and say to me. You don't do it, why do I got to do it? So,
I'm still thinking about like your passion and your course. And now that I'm considering your daughter more into consideration, I'm also like almost picturing this. And this is just where my mind goes, so you can ignore me.
Okay.
But
I'll let you know if I decide to brush you off.
Yeah. Well, but I'm almost picturing whether it's like a blog or a video or whatever, or whether it's for you, for your own journal and your own memories, because it sounds like because you're teaching your daughter, but also working on yourself. So it's a double thing of like what I taught my daughter today, what I learned from it today. And you just, you answer two questions, whether you do it weekly, whether you do it monthly, whether it's like, this is what we're going over. This is what my daughter taught. So this is what she taught me, what I taught her. And this is what I learned from it. And you just.
Actually, a blog might not be a bad idea, because I wouldn't have to, I could just put it out there without having to, like, for example, like today, be on video speaking, and, this is a lot harder for me than writing it down, putting it out there, and then just walking away from it for a second, let it take its course. So that's actually really good feedback. Thank you.
I would, because I just really think you have so much to share, and I want to encourage it as much as I can. If you ever want to write things down but aren't ready for the blog, I would love to, because I started the blog for the podcast to go along with, I'd love to publish it on there and just let it roll, and you can express your feelings. You can start your own if you like to. I really want to encourage you to, I think you have beautiful things to say, and I think a lot of people would learn from it.
Thank you. It's definitely, I don't know, it's coming from you. It's more believable. And I guess it's because you don't know me, so you don't really owe me anything or have to tell me this stuff. But when I hear it from friends, it's like, okay.
It's weird when we hear things from our friends and family versus versus strangers. Because we almost trust strangers not to tell us the lie, because we are so used to everyone being so nice and over, and it's also on the other way. I read this thing about why strangers root more for you than the people you know. And it's because the people you know started the same place as you, and they can't believe it that you're going somewhere else. And so they kind of shut off and stop the rooting and the hyping up, and it's like they can't believe it that they're not doing something. So it's odd to meet strangers. And
well, they also say, right, like you're naturally inclined to be nicer to a stranger than you would be to, for example, like your own family member. And that's because the stranger has done nothing. Like you don't know the stranger.
You don't have the history. You don't have history. Of the constant thing of like, well, you did this one thing a year ago, and I'm still holding it against you. And
yes. So there's a lot of that. So when you're telling me this, I can actually take it in and believe it, versus if like a good friend told me this, and good friends have said this to me. So I have my really good friend Monica is constantly, we're constantly having these kind of, conversations. I'm always talking to her about something that's going on, or the changes that I would like in life and me, or we have these hour to 2 hour conversations. Bless her soul for listening to me, because she probably picks up the phone and she's like, oh, here we go again, another 3 hours on the phone. And sometimes it's the same conversation every day. We're talking, we're kind of adding, you're expanding on that conversation, but it's the same conversation every day. But anyway, yes, it's definitely something more than one person has mentioned to me, and something to consider. For sure.
Just from my own personal experience, from what I found, whether you believe in God or the universe or whatever, whichever way you want to take it, but I have found that when those things happen again and again and again, it's, for me, I believe in God. It's God telling me, will you just learn this lesson? Will you just listen and do it? Will you just do it? If not, I'm going to make it reappear in front of you again until you learn. Because whether it's God, universe, whoever, it's this higher other
Power.
self. Yeah. Or your, maybe it's you from the future speaking to yourself of just do this thing because I'm putting it in your life for a reason. And usually when I follow through, it like just goes. Like with this podcast, I was like, I don't know. And I had it within a week. Because it fell together. And I was questioning for such a long time. But then that's when I was like,
it or not.
Yeah. And then it's those things that are meant to be in your life that keep pushing themselves, that keep knocking at your door, and you just keep shutting the door back in their face. When you do open the door, you're like, oh my gosh, you came with balloons and cake, and this whole time I've been ignoring this whole opportunity.
Yeah, and you know what? Actually, now that you touched on that, I have actually, I do believe in God. I am religious, but I'm not like I don't practice my religion. I don't go to church. I don't do any of that.
Yeah, you don't have to go to church.
I've been thinking lately, I could really be closer to God. Because I see all these people that are really close to God and they're like thriving. And I don't know, like if it's because they feel connected or, so that makes me feel like I'm missing some kind of higher power connection, maybe to give me the confidence to go, because I, like I said, I read all these books and I try to help myself that way, but maybe it's not even reading and doing because I know all of that. Maybe it's having like this higher power or this connection spiritually to give me the internal confidence that I need to actually do it. And I'm that person. I will say I want to do all these things, and like going back to it, the fear always overpowers, the want of, or the motivation to like do anything, because you get scared. You get scared of like what people are gonna say. Yeah. I mean, even going on this podcast, talking to people about coming on this podcast, they were already like, "Why are you going to mention that? You probably shouldn't mention that."
Those people don't pay your bills. Those people don't raise your kid. Those people, you know what I mean? Like, but we let those people influence us is the thing. Something that has helped me is this phrase, I'm sure you've seen on shirts, but faith over fear. And so whenever I have fear that something's going to go wrong, I try to remember and try to remind myself, have faith that it'll actually work out. What if instead of worrying about it, what if you believe that it works out? And it's helped along with, I've switched my prayers over in the last 3 months. I just had this like revelation because before when I was praying, I would ask God for help for a certain thing that I'm trying to do. And I was asking God to help me with my agenda. And now I've switched it where I'm like, God, I want to surrender myself to you and show me and tell me what is it that I can do to serve others, to serve God, to serve other people. And so instead of asking God to help me with my agenda, I'm asking now, how can I be the vehicle to help others? And it's this surrender into humbleness that I don't know it all. I don't know what I'm going to do. I just am kind of flowing in it. So like, just help me flow in this river and do it safely.
Going back to freedom. It's a freedom.
Freedom! Yes, Braveheart.
Yeah, no, actually, I should start a blog and just throw freedom in there every time, because I just feel like that's a big thing. You're trapped in this thought process. You know what I mean? Like,
set yourself free from fear. That's your tagline.
And I'm going to have my blog face is going to be a blue face.
Like, oh my God, yeah.
Yes.
It's so good. No, I'm telling you, Ren, if you write something, I am more than happy to publish it on my blog to get you going. If you want to start your own, 100%. But if you need something from me, I'm here to back you up, to encourage you and say you can do this, because you can. I mean, I just can't say it enough that what you have to say is important.
Thank you. I mean, yeah, coming from you, I feel motivated right now. Like right now, I feel like
paint your face blue. Let's go.
Oh my God, where's the blue paint? I'm gonna paint my face blue. Let's get off this podcast. Let's start working on what I want to write. Come on, like no, I'm pumped. And then
life happens and you get
Yes. I mean, I should just stay on the phone with you all day.
But that's why it's important. It's important to have your tribe. It's important to have your friends to check in and say, even let's say, hey, let's check in 2 weeks and 3 weeks and say, like, if you really want to focus on this, it's almost like an addiction. You have to break the addiction of not believing in yourself. And so you have to check in and say, hey, how is your process on this? I would love to text you in a couple of weeks and say, hey, I I would love to hear from you.
Keep me
Would you,
accountable.
yeah, would you like to write about this one thing? Would you like to do, if you want to? I don't want to push anything, and it's something that needs to
No,
come from
push,
your
push,
heart.
push. You have my push. It is. I do want to do this.
It's like pregnancy and motherhood. You have to push the baby out. You have to push this freedom and this creativity. Yes. Okay.
Freedom of it all. Yes. No, I definitely push away. I am one of those that definitely needs more than one push. I mean, I am obviously I'm motivated enough to know that like I'm in a bad spot. I need to, improve myself. But taking it to a point where now I'm bringing what I have to bring to the table out into the light for other people to see is a little scary.
But that could be your way of serving. Could be your reason for being on this earth. This could be your why. This could be your passion. These could be the answers that you've been searching for and treading water and asking, what is this? What is that? This could be the example and the role model that you're looking for your daughter to be that person. So when she looks up at you and says, oh my gosh, my mom has helped so many people, because when they read her words, they realize that they can do it themselves. They can survive that depression. They can overcome those relationships.
I'm going to tell you, if my purpose in life is solely for my daughter to look at me and say, hey, you were brave, you're fearless.
Oh, I'm getting shivers.
Yeah, no, that would be enough for me to be like,
do it for your daughter.
I made enough impact on you, and that was it.
And that's all that matters.
That was it for me.
And if other people can read it, good for them, because if you want to publish it, then it's wonderful to help others. But that's the thing. It doesn't have to be so scary. Just write for your daughter. What do you want to share with your daughter? What would you want to tell her? And you can name it Thoughts for My Daughter.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's actually really...
And there's going to be daughters who have poor relationships with their moms, who when they read those words, they'd be like, oh my gosh, I wish my mom would have told me that. I wish my mom would have said those things to me. If you ever apologize to your daughter...
And I tell you, that's kind of where... And again, I don't have necessarily a poor relationship with my mom, but my mom had me at 15. So
it's hard to be a parent when you're a baby.
It's really hard to be a parent. And, unfortunately, she wasn't there when I was young too much, she's always in the background somewhere, but I am my grandma's, daughter. She took care of me and looked out for me. So I'm kind of coming from that place of, I didn't have the closest relationship or the best relationship with my mom. And now her and I, we talk every day. And it's really just interesting because it's my daughter that brought the relationship between me and my mom closer. Ironically enough, right? Because her and I were never, really close, but my daughter was the one. And I'm actually really grateful because my mom loves my daughter so much. And even if, we had the rockiest relationship, even if it was like the worst, the fact that she loves her as much as she loves her, it erases all of that. And don't get me wrong, she gets on my nerves quite often. Like, often enough, I'm like, this lady, just bye, But just seeing how she interacts with her, like when I see her come over and she's like on her hands and knees crawling after my daughter, or,
does it kind of make you wish she was kind of like that with you when you were little? Is there a little bit of that in the back of your head?
No, I've never processed that way. I guess the expectation that I get from my mom now today is not to go back and, wish that were different. It's more, I wish my mom would be more present for me. And she's present for my daughter, and her and I get along great. Don't get me wrong. But sometimes I find it really hard to talk to her, and she's actually she always, every time I talk about my mom, it brings out the tears, because she's been my biggest struggle. I have a hard time, getting close with my mom. Like, we're close, but I mean, like, not a how do I want to say this? Like a deep relationship.
Like, not comfortable, not trusting, where you can be
like it's just superficial, her and I talk and it's not deep. Like, I tell her stuff and sometimes I feel like it's dismissed.
It's like ignored.
Like, it's almost like she doesn't know what to say to me. So she just, like, I get a lot of so where's Rowan? Like, and she'll change it. Or like, I'll be going through a lot of stuff and and she sometimes doesn't give input, or there are times that I have said things and I'm like, well, you're not giving me feedback. And she's just like, well, I don't know what you want me to say. Like, I'm not going through that. You are. And it's just kind of like, oh, like I need, like, I'm telling you and I'm coming to you with this for a reason. And again, it's not like a bad relationship, but I want a deeper relationship. Like,
We
not,
seek that from our moms. I can relate 100%. I won't get into it. We're running out of time, but I would love to talk to you more about it. But it's something that we do. Maybe it's something that makes us better moms.
yeah. Yeah, I definitely think so. Because when I look at my daughter, I definitely want to have a deep relationship. I don't want to look at her and have those surface level conversations. Like, I want
How's
to
the
get,
weather? How's the, you
yes,
just, like, how are you today? That's the person you want to ask, how are
are
you?
you
I want to
today?
open that door and I want you to tell me everything. I want you to tell me if you're anxious, if you're overtired, if you feel overwhelmed, what's going on. Is somebody talking poorly to you? Do you feel like
Yes.
all of those things? I want to know. And that's the relationship. Yeah.
But like, even then, like, even talking about stuff, so like stuff that I'm not happy that she's done, maybe in the past, because there are a lot of things that I've been holding back for the sake of not continuing something that happened in the past, because that's the past, you know? But I don't feel like I could bring that up openly without offending. And I also don't even think I could bring it up without her being like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I did that. I think it would be more like, you were young, you don't understand, like, you know, here come all the excuses. And that's what I mean when I say deep relationship, where I can
Yeah.
actually sit there and the conversation isn't like excuses or things that could have been different. It's like, let's get down to the nitty gritty of it. Let's get down to like what the real problem is, because this is how you and I are going to be free from
Yeah.
like, you know,
These
feeling
demons that are
like these
inside you that
demons.
are
Yes.
occupying. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and I think from that relationship, I struggle having deep relationships with everybody else. I have
Yeah.
good relationships with people and I have lots of friends. There are very few friends that I can sit here and be like, hey, so I'm going through this, and really tell them without, and walk away from that conversation and say, I trust the person that I just said this to.
Yeah.
I can't really say I have too many people like that in my life. And I think it stems from feeling that I can't even speak with my mom that way. So,
Well, it's your first person who's supposed to teach you the right way to communicate with someone, the first person who you are supposed to trust and feel open and vulnerable with. And when you, it's something I'm trying to focus with my daughters, making sure that she feels safe to come to me and let me know, so then she can then take that relationship and example and apply it to others and learn how to, because I similarly have similar struggle. And
yeah.
I,
And I've learned a lot of people do have very similar struggles, even with their moms.
especially with their moms.
As women, you know,
Yeah, because we have
Yeah.
this expectation of, I wish you would have taught me. I wish you would have told me. I wish you would have shared with me. I wish you would have asked.
Yes.
And it's, I think we're all kind of waiting for an apology from our mom.
So it actually is really interesting that you say, do you wish your mom was like that with you the way she is with her daughter? And no, I wish, it's funny, I wish my mom was like me the way I am with my daughter.
Yeah.
Because I wish, you know, she and I did things that like Rowan and I do. I literally buy activity books because sometimes, I don't know, when Pinterest sometimes gives you the same ideas, you know?
Yeah.
So I buy activity books, and, you know, her and I do activities all the time. It's like, I wish I would have done this with my daughter, with my mom, you know? I wish her and I had these memories.
Yeah.
And I mean, it didn't happen, and that's okay. You know, and it would be okay, I should say, if her and I could sit down to talk about these things.
Yeah.
That way they are put in the past, because they're very much present for me, especially now that I have a daughter. It's like open wounds for sure.
It comes up because, like, well, why didn't my mom do this with me? At least for me, I'm like, why wouldn't she spend that time with me? Why didn't I matter as my daughter matters to me? I feel like,
yeah. So, that's definitely, definitely something that processes on my mind. And although I love her for the way she treats her, I love if anybody's good to my daughter, I love them immediately. It's just like, I know you one day, you're great to I love you. You're great. Thank you for loving her as much as I love her, you know? So I try to put it aside for her. And then also
Yeah.
because I don't want her to see me having a bad relationship with my mom and then her later on grow up and want to have the same
Yeah.
relationship with me. And, that cycles too. So there are just so many different things to consider
Yeah.
when I have with my relationship with my mom, even how that's going to transpire with my daughter is just,
Yeah.
and I mean, it's not perfect. I'm pretty sure later on she'll have her own complaints about me. It's just the way it is.
But you're encouraging your daughter to speak up about him now so they don't accumulate and become a big erupting volcano. And you're
Yes.
taking notice and acknowledging things. I think it's important to apologize to our kids when we make mistakes, when we ignore
Yes.
them, when something bad happens. We're not always right. And to say, hey, I'm sorry. To hear that from your mom, I think could alleviate
Yes.
a lot of this built up pressure. Like
And
a pressure
actually
cooker.
that's one of the biggest things is I make it a point every time because I'm not a perfect parent for sure. Especially being a single parent that leaves for so many more rooms for error because I'm so tired.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing is I'm sorry. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. And I will tell you that my daughter, when she sees that she did something bad or she's yelling or she's acting up, the first thing she says to me is, Mommy, I'm sorry I yelled.
Mm.
And it's just like, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
It's so important. It's so important for their growth, your growth, and just that's how you can leave those things behind and not let them overwhelm and over accumulate and become heavy on your shoulders. It's so simple, yet everyone struggles so much with
It's so
saying
hard.
it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
And that's
it's
what I
so
wish I would
hard.
hear from my mom or, Genesis, I love talking to you, but I do have to go and feed my baby. I would
Okay.
love to have you on again. I
Yeah.
would love to catch up. I would love to text you today in 2 weeks and just keep this conversation going because I really do think your words are really important. And
Oh, thank you.
I think you could be helping a lot of moms, but if not that, just I think you could be leaving really beautiful messages for your daughter.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. And yeah, no, I would love to. I would love to catch up with you outside of this talk. Yeah, and maybe your push will be what I needed. Maybe I'll be looking back at this later on like, thank you, Lily, because I needed this. And
How
that would be
beautiful would
great.
that be?
Yeah.
Like we get certain people in our lives at random times, whether it's a person at the grocery store or person on a podcast, like we just meet these random people out of nowhere. They just kind of align, things go, and then like when we look back, we're like, oh my gosh, if I didn't meet this person,
And they play a significant role. Yeah. Yeah, no,
yeah.
I agree. I agree.
So
So yeah, so let's definitely you push me.
freedom.
Freedom!
Yes.
Let's end it on that note.
That's right. All right. Thank you, Genesis. I'm gonna shoot you a text, and then I'd love to have you on again whenever you think is great, and then we'll just catch up. And I'd love to talk further more into some of these topics that we kind of, just more specific. I think there's so much to motherhood, whether it's your relationship with your daughter, or relationship with your mom, or your relationship with your friends who are their moms. Like, there's so much to learn and gain from there. So I'd love to just keep the conversation going.
Yes, let's do it. Thank you for having me. I appreciate this time with you. I enjoyed my time talking to you. It was nice. It was nice just to hear the positive feedback, and I appreciate you for it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. I hope you have a good day. All right.
Okay, thank you. You too.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. Thanks, everybody. And I will see you next time on Mom Your Own Way.